so I've actually seen a demonstration by Livermore, which is where HAARP was developed secretly in collaboration with the Soviet Union beginning in 1976. So I know the weapons exist. I know the applications. I've observed them. And looking at the World Trade Center destruction as a geoscientist, I know that the keys to understanding what happened at the World Trade Center are the energy budget needed to molecularly dissociate those two buildings, because that's exactly what the physical mechanism was that was used to destroy those buildings.
Now, in terms of the 6-part HAARP radio series that you've done, we've covered a number of examples of environmental warfare attacks that have been done by HAARP. First of all, cyclone and hurricane attacks in terms of the Myanmar cyclone that killed 150,000 people in May of 2008. The China earthquake, tectonic warfare, killed.
And especially the Kashmir earthquake of 2005,
right,
which left 3.1 million people displaced, homeless, in the Himalayas at the beginning of the snows.
Exactly. Okay. Let me pick up this.
All right, but we are going for break. We're all going to be back in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
This is Cascadia Public Radio.
You're listening to Expansion on the RBN network, republicbroadcasting.org. And this is Sophia, your host, and I have with me today geoscientist Leuren Moret and international lawyer Alfred Weber. Now, Leuren, we did get an urgent request for one quick answer to one question, which had occurred to me also a couple of times as you last spoke. So I just want to get this out of the way if you happen to know. Do you know how Judy Wood got access to photos that were not in the public domain?
Well, she did it the same way I do. They weren't circulating in the public domain. Mm-hmm. And what I do, I'm sure it's what she did, is you go to conferences and there are government representatives doing presentations. They show photos you've never seen. She went to NIST hearings, and then she did her own investigation. That's what I do. She probably went to the Library of Congress or went to their collections online. And then I'm sure people gave her photos, to help her. So it isn't that they were classified. It's that they were not easily available to the public because the public didn't know what the right questions were to ask and where to find the answers.
Yes, I do remember I did an interview with Judy Wood myself, which is on the 911 We Know website under the Slave Planet series menu tab, and she does give a good 2-hour overview of her exploration of this, and she has seen, I believe, more than anyone on Earth, more photos of the World Trade Center demolition than anyone else that I've ever heard of. So she has observed many things.
It's just through doing your own research,
right?
And knowing what the right questions are to answer.
Okay, so
it's all on the front page. It's all out in the public domain. People don't know where to find the information because they don't even know what to look for.
Okay, so can we continue now, Alfred? Are you ready to pick up here?
Yeah, I want to continue questioning Leuren, which is part of my presentation.
Sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a cross-examination of the witness.
Right.
Leuren, I want to elicit her testimony that she hasn't presented yet.
Right. He's asking the right questions now.
Yeah. And that is, you've shown instances of where HAARP has been used in environmental warfare, such as hurricanes,
yes,
earthquakes, and hurricanes, earthquakes, cyclones.
Right.
Now, we also know that HAARP is used for scalar energy warfare against land and population targets, including cities, industrial sites, buildings, populations, and individuals.
Yes.
Now, can you give me some examples, some historical examples, where you think HAARP may have been used in scalar energy warfare against land and population targets, including cities, industrial sites, buildings, populations, and individuals?
Okay. A very good example is the Kashmir earthquake of 2005.
Well, no, not tectonic warfare.
Oh.
Not environmental warfare. Scalar energy warfare against land and population targets, including cities, industrial sites, to bring down portions of cities, to bring down buildings, to bring down industrial sites, to bring down individuals.
Well, we know that
like was it used at the Alfred P. Murrah building? Alfred.
Yes.
Was HAARP used there?
There are indications that that HAARP-type space weapons were used at the Murrah building in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
And that was fairly early.
Know? Okay. So if scalar energy weapons were used there, how would one know whether it was HAARP or not?
Well, it's the particle size and the energy budget is the whole key to understanding what technology was used to destroy a building.
Right. Exactly. And what other candidates would you have in mind other than HAARP that would have been used at the Alfred P. Murrah building?
Well, they also found radioactive isotope traces both at the World Trade Center and the Murrah building, and these may indicate that many nukes were used. There was tritium and deuterium, and also high levels of uranium detected at the World Trade Center building, and I know deuterium was detected at the Murrah building, and probably uranium also, although uranium occurs in building materials like sheetrock.
So that both the World Trade Center then, one could argue, and the Alfred P. Murrah building were psyops. And that
they were psyops,
they were psychological operations. In one case, Bin Laden and a bunch of Arabs from Afghanistan. In the other case, a bunch of patriots were the patsies, but they had a similar technology.
Right.
We are disappearing into our break, and we'll be back for a good long section after this.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
You're listening to Expansion on RepublicBroadcasting.org, the RBN network. This is Sophia, your host, and we are in our final segment, our last half hour of an interview with Leuren Moret and Alfred Weber. And Alfred is cross-examining Leuren Moret at the moment, which is great. I don't have to do it. But I wanted to throw in another possible illustration, Alfred, when you were trying to pump Leuren for these scalar weapons being used to take down edifices and mechanical structures. What about that bridge in, I think it was Minnesota, that they just had an update on Fox News last night in which they reconfirmed that there was something wrong with the structural steel? Do you remember that?
Oh, that bridge collapsed on the eve of our 9/11 conference in Madison, Wisconsin, and as I flew into the Minneapolis airport on my way to the conference where Judy Wood presented, we flew over the bridge and the pilot pointed it out. So I saw it from the air the day after it occurred. And so there was a little buzz at the conference as to whether, that was a demonstration because apparently that's along the route of the North American Highway, which is, of course, is part of the North American Union. A lot of the property owners there were objecting to their properties being condemned on behalf of the North American Union, and the collapse then was sort of an enforced eminent domain by the
land grab.
Land grab. So
and also Judy Wood went up and looked at that bridge during the conference, and she came back and reported to us at the conference that it was not a natural or a normal bridge collapse. She said it was taken down in sections.
Yeah. Right, but my question is that an example
and I always
of the heart?
thought that the national security state was showing off for the conference. I mean, I kind of have been used to this stuff. I'd like to claim my minutes now in this program. Is that okay?
Yes, I just wanted to give that bridge as an example of maybe what you were talking about.
I think it fits in perfectly, and I'd like to claim my minutes. And the reason why I say that I always thought that they collapsed that bridge intentionally at the time of that conference, not because of any sense of grandiosity or its flip side, paranoia, because I am a graduate psychotherapist, so I understand these things. But what I found in my now 35-year career of what I call public interest counterintelligence, which I think is a much more sophisticated term for conspiracy theory, is that they plan their stuff around our stuff, not that we plan our stuff around their stuff. In other words, we have it entire. The actual paradigm of how the world works is that we, the forces of light, are the change agents, and they are in reaction to us. It's entirely opposite from the usual viewpoint that the progressive forces have. And I'd like to mention it because I sort of grew up around these guys. You mentioned John Ashcroft. Well, John was a classmate of mine at Yale, and I had a long conversation with him a couple of years ago in 2007 at the Washington, D.C. airport. I had just come from having lunch at the National Press Club, where I held a press conference after receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award from the X Conference, and we held a very long conversation on my field, which is exopolitics, and that conversation came about after at the National Press Club I had proposed a new model, which was a truth amnesty model for getting to the bottom of these things rather than a war crimes tribunal, which is prosecutorial, but rather something in the nature of restorative justice, which is what they did in South Africa.